I told y'all last night that Casey and Tay needed the Dilemma song, not Corbin and Parina. Well, what is going on? Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking Love Island USA Season 8. Episode 29, you guys. I'm not going to hold y'all. I think I just sat here for like a good 15, 20 minutes before I hopped on the mic because I'm just trying to figure out what in the HELL has happened. We have a new set of voters this season compared to seasons past, you guys. And this could potentially impact the final couples, y'all. So let's get into it. Let's get into what happened in this episode, y'all. So we are picking up after the Islanders had shipped out, you know what I'm saying, who they felt were the least compatible couples. And although Jaden and Caleb are up on out of here, although Amora and Gal are all up on out of here, there is aftermath because Melanie and Sincere receive votes, as well as Kenzie and Dylan receive votes for being least compatible. So Kenzie feels that this is a slap in the face, and she's mad, she's pissed off, she feels like she was backstabbed, in particularly by Melanie, right? Dylan's not really mad. He feels, did I say Dylan? Dylan is not really mad. He says that there's no hatred or whatever. Then Kenzie gets into a confessional, and she's just tired emotionally for getting SHIT for, exploring. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with Kenzie exploring. Here's the thing, though. We're in the last week of the show. The finale is on the 12th. You know what I'm saying? Today is July 5th. There is 7 days left of the show, y'all. So ultimately, who is your couple, Kenzie? Who is your number one? There are people who've been in a couple less than you and Dylan who look more compatible than you two. But because you're trying to explore, gal, you're trying to see what else is out here. Make it make sense. I can't believe, child. Melanie then, you know what I'm saying, feels as though she was the one that was put in a hard position to vote for Kenzie and Dylan because that's actually her friend. Basically, Sincere was trying to explain away Kenzie, and it's right message, wrong messenger, right? That Kenzie can't be out here in all these couples, but trying to, you know what I'm saying, romance and kiss these other people like a handshake and all the things. And so basically Melanie was like, it's probably not a good look that you're the one that's saying all this. Meanwhile, Melanie and Sincere are all cuddled up. And also Sincere is saying, listen, look at here. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel that we're toxic. We're not a toxic couple. We don't have a toxic relationship. Have I done some toxic things? Sure. Has there been toxic things that I've done? Absolutely. But we are not toxic. And Sincere, I need you to be for real. Y'all are toxic. Anaya said y'all were toxic. What was that, week 1, week 2? She said that y'all were going to be that toxic couple that does all this nonsense, then runs right back to each other when it's all said and done, right? So ultimately, as well, Mel felt a way about, you know what I'm saying, Corbin and Persian Cat voting for her and Sincere, and ultimately feels as though, you know, Corbin's talking about he was backstabbed by Sincere, but Mel feels like she's the one that was backstabbed and everything else, not Corbin. So that's what she's standing on. She feels as though Corbin has it wrong and that this is a backstab to her. This is a slight to her. But we did not see, at least from my recollection in this episode, any conversation between Melanie and Corbin after she was just, you know, the night before asking Corbin on what his thoughts were if she should cuddle in the bed. You know what I'm saying? With Sincere, only for her to get in there anyways, right? So Sincere vows that he's allegedly going to be done deceiving and done lying and done leading people on. And I have a bridge to sell y'all. I have an island to sell y'all. You know what I'm saying? I have a private jet to sell y'all. You know what I'm saying? I got a mansion to sell y'all if y'all believe any of the BS that Sincere is saying. So then we get to Persian Cat and Corbin, and they are in Say Less having a conversation. They are concerned about the one vote that they received, and they just feel a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? They felt that Kenzie was being bitter and all this and all of that. Then Persian Cat feels as though Kenzie is jealous of her or intimidated by her or something, that she's been giving her weird looks since she came into the villa and all of this and all of that. And ultimately, Corbin feels as though Kenzie keeps getting saved by the bell when it is all said and done, and that they had the potential to get Kenzie and Dylan out. And y'all did. And y'all did, Corbin. You should have went with initially what you felt. You know what I'm saying? So then ultimately Corbin's pissed off that this even happened because he feels that, you know, him and Persian Cat are a lot more compatible than Kenzie and Dylan, right? And feels as though that, you know, there's a stronger connection and that they connect more with their mindset and their mentality and everything else. So he is confused as far as why Kenzie came for them and all of this and all of that, right? So it was interesting, the narrator, before we got a Karnaya scene, Carl and Anaya scene, they were all like, you know, oh, Carl's the perfect man and all of this. And I felt like this was foreshadowing that Carl is not the perfect man that people want to make him up to be. But nonetheless, Carl is cuddling with Anaya, and he was like, you know, we've gotten, you know, there was another decision that we have to make, but the good thing is that nobody gave us any votes for being least compatible, and we just got into a couple and all the things. And so then also, you know, Carl said that he's excited to share a bed, and he's happy to see his name on the bed, and he can't wait to see what tomorrow brings. And this was the first time I've seen Anaya since being, you know, with Carl and everything else, that I don't know, something was off with her energy. And it could have just been the fact that there was just a mass dumping and they had to do a recoupling, a dumping from the recoupling, and then do a vote, and then, you know, 4 more people went home. But I don't know, something was off in this scene with Anaya's energy. And it's the same thing with Casey, right? So there was a scene also with Casey and Tay talking, and ultimately they were happy that nobody voted for them, and that they, you know what I'm saying, you could say whatever you want to about Casey and Tay, but you can't say that they are not compatible. But I also noted in this scene as well, I'm like, something is off with Casey's energy in this scene. I said, you've reconciled with Anaya, y'all are cool, y'all are Gucci, you know what I'm saying? Why is Casey still, something is off with his energy, right? So then Zack Attack is with Kata, basically saying that they've survived the villa and they've survived the public. Be careful what you wish for, Zack Attack. And that his favorite part of the night is getting back in bed with Kata. Then we get a scene with Trinity and Bryce basically celebrating that they've made it for another recoupling. Trinity is happy because this is the first time Bryce has specifically chose her. Then Bryce, low-key, he said he feels that he is chopped. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't feel like he looks that good or whatever the case may be. And Trinity says that she likes him or whatever else and validates his feelings. They try to kiss, and then Trinity was like, but I got Doritos in my mouth. And he was like, well, I don't care. I got Doritos in my mouth too. And then they go ahead and kiss in the speakeasy, right? So then as well, you know, Sincere is still in the bathroom with Zack Attack as people are getting ready for bed. He's still on this toxic thing, right? So he's like, I don't feel that I have a toxic relationship. I've done toxic things, but I don't feel I'm in a toxic relationship. No. Sincere, I need you to be for real. You know you are in a toxic relationship. Like, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. So then Anaya and Tay are having a moment in the dressing room where she feels that her and Carl are compatible and that they have so much in common. And so then Tay was like, y'all look so cute together and everything else. I couldn't stop smiling seeing the two of y'all and everything else. Maybe she's in reference to their recoupling scene or seeing them cuddle each other during the deliberations for the least compatible couples, right? So then I peeped that Mel had on these silk pajamas, this silk tank top, this silk booty, you know what I'm saying? You know, a thing that's going to sexuate her booty in the bed with Sincere. And it was like, I already knew the play. So as much as y'all want to get on these Islanders about them being team Sincere or being team Mel or whatever the case may be, being team this nonsense in the villa, you got her sister on the outside of the villa calling Caleb her brother-in-law. You know what I'm saying? And you got all these fans who claim that, you know, Mel needs to leave the villa for her mental health. But here goes Melanie, right here, right now, putting on some sexy nighttime apparel, either to get Sincere's attention and or to potentially do stuff with Sincere in the bed. So ultimately, you know, Zack Attack, because he is always in game mode. Zack Attack is always in game mode. He is asking Corbin what Corbin meant about the backstabbing comment because he thought this was a brotherhood. He thought none of the men were going to expose each other. We're not going to turn on each other. So basically, Corbin feels that Sincere, was being dishonest about some of his kisses and how they went down versus what actually took place and was what was revealed on movie night and all the things. But ultimately, as well, you know, this was also in front of Carl that they was having this conversation and everything else. So then, like I said, it's nighttime. Melanie gets in the bed and she lays on her back to show off her buttocks, right? Right for Sincere. And he's like, you know, I'm just checking it out. I'm just looking at your booty. And she's like, you can look, but you can't touch. And I keep telling y'all, this is Johnny and Sally 2.0 in season 8. I keep telling y'all, Mel has to make the decision that she wants no parts of Sincere. And she can cry, she can cuss him out, she can try to seek validation or advice from these islanders, whether they give her the correct or incorrect advice. I still stand on it's more so that the core four wants Melanie still to be in this villa. But ultimately, Melanie is not making any decision to leave Sincere alone. She allegedly said that they were going to take a step back in the couple, but she's back to sleeping in the bed with him almost immediately as she wore something sexy to get him to look at her, to get his attention and everything else. Kenzie is pissed off all night. Trinity and Bryce are in the bed having a gossip session that basically was like, Kenzie has not talked to any of us since that whole least compatible couple thing. She is pissed off. Talked about the fact how Kenzie had her teddy bear with her and was not letting her teddy bear go. You know what I'm saying? But she was pissed. She was seeing red and everything else, right? So ultimately, Carl is happy. He is skipping over to the bed because he said that he is excited to share a bed and all the things. And I peeped that Anaya was moving some pillows out of the way. And so then before the lights go out, Carl tells Anaya, you have natural beauty. And Anaya was like, oh, no, I don't. And he's like, yeah, you do. You have natural beauty. I love seeing you without your makeup on and in your bonnet and all the things. And then the lights go out, right? So we're not seeing any couples interact, right? Really, like anything intimate. Although something looked intimate with Trinity and Bryce over there, I don't know if it was French frying or what took place or whatever the case may be, right? Hold that space. Then, of course, we see Corbin and Persian Cat getting after it, as they always do. Then we saw some kisses. Now, I couldn't tell if Carl was giving Anaya forehead kisses or if these were kisses on the lips, but it looked like a little cuddle, a little razzle-dazzle, and that was it, and that was that, right? And so then I made a note that ever since Casey and TT have been back, there's been no kissing in the bed of them two. Ever since they've been back from Casa Amor, when Casey said that I need all this physical touch, I need all this, this and that, Anaya's a grandma and all this and all that, and I'm like, but I'm not seeing anything in the bed the way that Corbin and Persian Cat's going at it in the bed. Oh, also Kenzie and Dylan, of course, did stuff together in the bed. Per usual, you know what I'm saying? But, I didn't see anything with KC and TT. And I see production remembered that KC and TT are still in the villa and gave us a nighttime scene, right? So then we get to the next morning. Islanders are making breakfast for everybody. Trinity whispers to Kata. She was like, don't tell anybody, but we had, you know what I'm saying? We had the SEX last night. We FUCKED. And she said it was good. Now, here's the thing, Trinity. You can keep this street secret to Kata, but the show is watched by millions. So we all know. So it's not going to be a secret by the time the rest of the Islanders get out of this villa. You know what I'm saying? And it could potentially be a topic of conversation at the reunion with Andy Cohen's weird self. Anyways, Melanie is asking Persian Cat who was behind the vote to, you know what I'm saying, put her and Sincere at risk for being the least compatible couple? Was it mainly her driving the vote, or was it mainly Corbin, right? And so it was interesting because she's trying to make it seem as though, it was primarily Corbin that really wanted Kenzie out, but basically Persia Cat convinced him not to be bitter, not to be messy, and they should go in a different direction towards Sincere and Melanie, right? And so then Kenzie and Persian Cat have a little bit of a back and forth, right? Because Kenzie is still pissed off about the vote. And Persian Cat is like, listen, look at here. You know what I'm saying? You've been giving me weird looks. There's been this weird animosity between us and all this and all of that. And Persian Cat was like, listen, if you want me to match this energy, I can do that. And Anaya was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Anaya's like, listen, I'm not trying to have this type of, you know what I'm saying? Like, what type of energy is this on, right? She was like, let's not do that. Let us not, right? So then there is a conversation with Kenzie to Melanie, and I felt this conversation really showed how fake AF Kenzie is, and one of the reasons why I want Kenzie out of this villa, right? Because basically, before we get to that conversation, something is interesting of note, right? TT and KC have been in a couple for how long? Apparently, TT is a big fan of coffee. You know what I'm saying? She is a huge fan of coffee. And you're just now asking KC if he likes coffee. And he says no. And so she's like, are you going to make me some coffee? And he's like, no. He was like, that was Gal's job. What? So this entire time, it's been Gal that has been making the coffee. So now I see why Gal made the comment that Carl's going to have to be on coffee duty next. But that is wild that you guys have so much in common. You guys are so compatible, but you don't know at this point that Casey doesn't like coffee and Casey doesn't know that you love coffee. But y'all want to convince me that this couple is so compatible. Okay. So there was a conversation with Kenzie, Persian Cat, and Tay, and I was of confusion because of how close that Kenzie claims that her and Melanie are. I thought they would have had a conversation first before Persian Cat and Tay. And so it felt like Tay was there as a mediator more than anything else, because basically Persian Cat had just said in the dressing room, you know what I'm saying, I can match your energy if need be, right? But basically they wanted to get behind, you know what I'm saying, the bottom line of the vote. And it was Kenzie that was immediately apologizing to Persian Cat. So I peeped Kenzie's game, that if you come at her with a certain type of energy, she's going to be the one apologizing and copping pleas. But this is not the same energy that she has towards Melanie. You know what I'm saying? And I find that very interesting. She said that she thought that, you know what I'm saying, they thought, or whatever the case may be, that there was some pettiness that was involved with the vote. And ultimately, as well, they just didn't like the way that things were being presented with Caleb. And all of this was a result of what they saw movie night. And they're trying to give each other compliments, that they think each other's nice looking and that they're awesome and all this and all of that. And even Tay tries to downplay her vote. And I'm like, I don't believe y'all. I don't believe y'all. Y'all are gaming. Like, let's just talk about it. Y'all are gaming. Y'all know if y'all try to shake up the core four or try to shake up Kenzie, shake up the OGs, that is going to increase your chances of staying in the villa. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, that is on that, right? So, she said that Kenzie said she wants to be close to these women and wants them to be her sisters. Kenzie, if you do not stop it, you were not pulling this BS when Jen was in the villa. You did not care about any sisterhood the moment Jen got in the villa. In fact, you ignored all of the other girls in the villa the moment that Jen got there. Let's get into it, right? So they're all happy that the beef is squashed and everything else, right? So then Corbin and Sincere have a conversation as well about his vote, and Sincere was like, man, I thought this was really my boy, and all this and all of that. And basically Corbin was like, there were some issues with transparency, and that is why you have my vote. And, Sincere was like, I didn't even realize it was at the point that you potentially wanted me dumped from the villa. And so Corbin basically said, listen, I'm going to be a real ASS friend to you, and all of this and all of that, and tell you what I believe, tell you when I believe that you're doing something wrong and everything else. And, ultimately, Sincere said that he understands that his actions, doing stuff at the cost of other people's feelings and not being direct with the truth, is the reason for Corbin's vote, right? So then Melanie and Kenzie have a sit down, right? Melanie is like, listen, look at here. You know what I'm saying? There was no ill will towards, me doing this vote and all this and all of that. My thing is, the reason I did this vote is because it appeared to us that you were not done exploring. You know what I'm saying? And you've been through some awful relationships and all this and all of that, and you're still exploring out here, which would indicate that you are not happy, you are not secure in your couple, right? And we're just trying to make sure that the right person is there for you, and it may or may not be Dylan. And so then Kenzie says, listen, look at here, chicka, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with your narrative and all this and all of that, and I just really want to be with Dylan. Dylan is the one for me. If that is the case, why did you immediately run and kiss Cal? Like make it make sense, right? And so ultimately, she was like, Dylan was telling me how much Rocky, like you and Sincere were, but I wouldn't vote for you because you're my best friend. You're my best friend here in this villa. And then Mel was taken aback. She was like, wait a second. You understand? Wait. Let's rewind. How am I your best friend? How am I your bestie when you ditched me when the soul of it all got into this villa? How am I your bestie when the soul of it all got into this villa? You immediately ditched me. It was you, Jen, and Soul all the time, like a little trifecta. So Kenzie claims the reason that she was trying to be there for Soul because she didn't like how Soul allegedly was treated. I still think it was more so engineered by Sincere than anything else. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to stand by that because he did not want Sincere and Melanie. He didn't want Melanie and Soul to compare notes on how they were moving. But it was interesting, Kenzie, because you're saying you wanted to be there for Soul, but you also told Jen behind Soul's back that you did not trust her and wanted to keep Jen in the loop that you were secretly kissing Corbin behind Caleb's back. Make it make sense, right? And then Kenzie said that she felt a way when Soul was in the villa that Melanie kept pulling Trinity and Anaya. And I was like, oh, there it is. Kenzie is jealous of how close Melanie is to Trinity and Anaya, and probably Kata too as well. There it is. Kenzie feels away because she probably thought that she was going to be the it girl of the villa and the girl group and all of this and all of that. She was not. So she immediately latched on to Jen and Soul to create her own girl group. Except for she really didn't like Soul when it was all said and done, right? It was just a means to an end, and she low-key was being messy and being hurtful about the whole Corbin of it all because we had put Melanie and Corbin together. America voted for that, right? So then, they were all like, I hope... It was funny because Melanie actually didn't give Kenzie an apology. She was just like, I hope you forgive me. And so then Kenzie said that she was the one that was sorry, right? So then there was a conversation with Dylan and Carl. In production, you are messy as HELL for putting this conversation in because you know how social media is going to react. Because social media all weekend has put on the pom-poms for Carl, said that Carl is the best man since sliced bread, since Carl is a perfect man. There is no red flags with him. You know what I'm saying? That you guys were voting for Anaya and Carl because of Carl and all of this and all of that. And I was very, I was very like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to tell y'all every season, I don't be putting these men on no pedestals. Let me say that again. I do not be putting these men on any pedestals. You got to show me, you know what I'm saying, on what you are about and who you are. And some of y'all be going hard in the paint for these men, and they've been doing the bare minimum. And this season, even compared to last season, is doing the absolute bare minimum, are not planning any dates for these women, are not being kind to these women, are being messy behind their back with the other men, and y'all are lifting them up like they are the best male cast ever. And y'all are doing that because of how they look compared to other OG casts of men, and I find it disgusting, or because y'all hate the women. And I'm just gonna keep it a buck and say it for what it is. So they're having this conversation. Dylan is staring at Kenzie and Melanie having a conversation. And Dylan is talking about his girl. How hot she is, how good she looks, all of this, all of that. Carl said that he likes everybody. He said, everybody is so hot in this villa. All the girls are hot in this villa. And then he says, Kata is so stunning. And this is the same Carl that said on After Sun that Amora is simply beautiful, right? And I'm like, I don't think, you know what I'm saying? I want to hear from y'all in the comments. You know what I'm saying? What do you think of this comment? I know the people who do not like Anaya, they're going to latch on to this and they're going to say, if this was Casey that said that, all HLL would break loose. But low-key, he did say that. He said that when Soul got there, that Soul was extremely attractive and, you know what I'm saying? And told the men that Soul looked like his ex. She just didn't have a pixie cut and all this and all that. So he kind of did do that. If we're going to keep it a buck, but because y'all are attracted to Casey, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to really have smoke for that. You're not going to have smoke. I want to believe that Carl is genuine, but again, he's not been in the villa that long. He is nice to Anaya. They seem to have a good rapport with each other and everything else. They do seem very compatible and get along. But ultimately, a man that is going to continue to give other women compliments like this, when Dylan is sitting up here giving a compliment about his girl, the least you could have did was give a compliment about your girl, even though you technically said all the girls were hot, but you wanted to single out Kata and say that she was stunning. And I think even Dylan was taken aback, like, are we really talking about girls right now? Are we really having this conversation? That was kind of a red flag. And I would not be surprised if messy ASS Dylan runs that back to Anaya. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what comes of that, if it's going to be made a big deal or not. I already saw that Carl was getting drugged up and down and through here on the Twitter/X. Like I said, I find Morris Chestnut, you know what I'm saying? You know, fine. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, I'm not going to do nothing, right? I'm obviously not going to do nothing. But I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go with the Carl of it all, right? So then we get a text message that they're going to be doing a couples duet karaoke tonight. So all of the Islanders are excited. They're practicing moves, all of this and all of that. Then we get a confessional with Zach and Kata, and Zach says that Anaya and Carl are their biggest competition. And Kata says, no, they're not. I found that very interesting. Persia Cat was doing a lot of yodeling, and I was very of confusion. Listen, we're not going to go through all of the interlude scenes. We'll just get to it, right? So ultimately, Sarah V is sponsoring, you know, a karaoke competition. And the set is basically to mimic you singing in the shower. So they created a shower set, basically. And like some, you know, silver balloons or silver things. I don't know if that was supposed to represent like bubbles or what that was supposed to be. So then Ariana Maddox comes in, you know what I'm saying, to greet the Islanders and all of this and all of that, right? And so ultimately, we get in here. Well, we're in there like Times Square, y'all. And so Ariana Maddox is like, all right, we've got, you know, couples karaoke, you know, there's going to be a benefit, all this, there's going to be a winner at the end of this. You know what I'm saying? We're going to let this shake. So they have Persia Cat and Corbin go first, y'all. And what song did they choose, you guys? What did I say in my past couple of videos ever since it's been announced that there was going to be a karaoke competition? I said Casey and TT would be perfect for the song Dilemma. I said that. I was 10 toes down saying that Casey and TT would be perfect for Dilemma, right? And so ultimately as well, guess who got Dilemma? None other than Corbin and Persia Cat, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It was epic fail. They did not know all of the lyrics. Corbin was attempting to rap, and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't featuring it. It was so bad we had to go to commercial, y'all. It was so bad we had to go to commercial to completely, you know what I'm saying, forget this ever happened, right? So then next, you guys, we get Casey and Tay, and I was not sure what we were going to get from them. But we got Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. Black love, you know what I'm saying? Rhythm, you know what I'm saying? And once Casey hit that note, see, I was having flashbacks of Casey in that black outfit because he wore those glasses before with Anaya. And I was like, man, Casey's so fine. But then I had to remember in the back of my mind of how bad he was talking about Anaya and all this and all that. But listen, he sounded so good at the beginning of the song. Tay, I knew it was gonna bring it. You know what I'm saying? She can hold a tone. I really liked their choreographed moves and all this and all that. It was good. I was feeling it. So afterwards, you know what I'm saying? Carl gave it a standing ovation. And Carl in the confessional apparently can also carry a tone. It was all like, listen, baby, with some soul and stuff and everything else. It had seasoning and everything in it, right? Then you guys, Kata and Zack Attack go next with Endless Love, and it was an absolute joke. It was an absolute flop. It was an absolute failure. Any of y'all that is giving any of that compliments, y'all are not serious. It was not interesting at all. And these Islanders, this is what I'm saying, y'all. These Islanders were hyping each other up. And there was nothing to hype up. You know what I'm saying? There's only a couple of people y'all should have been hyping up. And one of those people was Casey and Tay. You know what I'm saying? So then Melanie and Sincere go next. And they sing You're the One That I Want from Grease. You know what I'm saying? John Travolta and everything else. And the late Olivia Newton-John. I love me some Grease, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I believe when I was in choir, we sang it at the Pops concert. You know what I mean? I just felt like kind of watching it. I was like, yeah, Melanie's never letting Sincere go. And then it got to a point where I feel like Melanie and Sincere were singing ahead of the song. They were not in sync with the actual beat of the song. They were like on a fast forward version of the song, it felt like. And then Sincere was giving rhythm intonation. I didn't know what was happening. He was on the 1 and the 3 instead of the 2 and the 4. And I just didn't know what was going on, right? So, and then after that, they shared a kiss, you guys. So that was that on that. Trinity really loved the performance because she is a huge Grease fan, right? So that was on that, right? So then after they sat down, because I guess they were happy with the reception of the other Islanders, they sit there on the bench and start kissing. And I keep telling you, Mel does not want to leave that man. Mel does not want to leave that man. So then next, it's announced that Anaya and Carl is going. And why is production being messy? They throw this shot where Casey is grinning. And he is specifically staring at Corbin. And then Corbin has a laugh. Y'all tell me in the comments, is there still an inside joke about Anaya? Or do they think that they were about to flop because of the Carl of it all? Because it looks like to me, Carl has some moves. Carl has some ballroom dancing background. And they did Senorita, which I believe is by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. And actually, it was pretty good. Anaya had some great notes. You know what I'm saying? Carl had some great notes. It was pretty good. They had some decent choreographed moves and all of this and all of that. And a lot of people liked it. And it seemed as though Kata was a huge fan of their performance. She really was into it. So it was cute. They shared a little kiss at the end and all of this and all of that. So then you guys, Trinity and Bryce were next, right? And listen, Trinity carried the performance. They did Chris Brown and Jordan Sparks' song No Air. Trinity did what she needed to do, you know what I'm saying? Bryce started singing and then he stopped singing and then he tried to do some like weird dance moves, you know what I'm saying, to make up for the fact of the lack of the vocals and all this and all of that. But Trinity basically carried that performance, right? So then we had Kenzie and Dylan that did Go Breaking My Heart by Elton John, right? And so it sounded like Kenzie could hold a tune. I wasn't that impressed with Dylan's vocals, you know what I'm saying? But Kenzie, of course, did the clam slam. She let out the split and all the things. And then Dylan jumped over her. He seems like he knows theater antics, right? It seems like he knows to be like a showman and do all the theater stuff, even if the voice and the vocals was not there, right? So everybody gave Kenzie and Dylan a standing ovation. And I was like, but I don't think this was better than Casey and TT's performance. Like I feel like this was not better than Casey and TT's performance. I feel like that they should have had the standing ovation. You know what I'm saying? So then the Islanders had to vote on their phones of which couple they felt did the best karaoke, right? So in last place, it was Corbin and Persia Cat, right? And then it was sixth place was Zack Attack and Kada. Then they said fourth place, it was a tie between Anaya and Carl and Trinity and Bryce. Y'all, child, okay. Second place, it was a tie between Tay and Casey and Melanie and Sincere. And I'm just out of confusion as far as what y'all were voting for. How do you feel Melanie and Sincere's performance is on the same level as Casey and TT? I feel if it was my rankings, I would have done Casey, TT number 1, Anaya, Carl number 2, and Trinity maybe number 3. I don't know. Y'all have to let me know what y'all rankings were in the comments. I don't know. They gave Dylan and Kenzie the W. They gave Kenzie and Dylan the win, and I was of confusion. So they got a crown for king and queen. So then Ariana Madix was like, don't y'all get too comfortable, because here's the thing. Even though y'all just voted for this, who's karaoke king and queen, you know what I'm saying? That there's still other votes that are taking place. America is still doing votes out here. So ultimately, America has been voting for, who they feel are the most compatible couples, and whoever the least compatible couples are, by the end of the night, they are going to be dumped from the villa, right? So Casey is looking at TT worried. He's basically telling TT, listen, look at here, I'm cooked. This is over. This is it. This is it. This is the end all be all. America hates me. All of this, all of that, right? Which is what he should be feeling like, right? He should be feeling that way. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, that was not what happened, right? That was not what has happened. So basically, Ariana Madix says, in no particular order, I am going to announce who was, the top couples that America chose to save. So they said Anaya, they had everybody stand up. And then when your name is called, you sit down. So they said Anaya and Carl. Anaya says she is so scared. So she doesn't think America likes her. I just want y'all to know that. Anaya thinks that y'all do not like her. Let me say it again. Anaya thinks that y'all do not like her. Next, Trinity and Bryce, you sit down. The third couple that is safe, y'all, is Melanie and Sincere. And Mel fans, I need y'all to come to the front. So y'all want the core 4 in the finals no matter the cost, even if Mel is in a couple with Sincere. But I distinctly remember y'all same core 4 fans saying that if Anaya continued to entertain Casey, that you were going to make sure she was not making the finals. And you do not care about black love and struggle love and all of the things. No. Y'all said that for Melanie's mental health, she needed to get up on out of this villa. She needed to choose herself. She needed to be single. But here is the problem. Doing Melanie and Sincere like this, y'all are giving the false hope, the false reassurance that Melanie and Sincere are a compatible couple. And y'all have lost the plot. They should have been in the bottom. I thought y'all said y'all didn't like toxic love. I thought y'all said y'all didn't like toxic relationships. I thought y'all said y'all didn't like the Islanders hyping them up. But now, Melanie not only has the Islanders hyping them up, but she knows you're hyping them up. The vote was not for favorite Islander. It was for most compatible couple. Child, I cannot with y'all hypocrisy. I cannot with y'all hypocrisy. But y'all did all that hating on Anaya when the whole villa is team Melanie and Sincere. You got her sister out here, out of her body on social media, calling Caleb her brother-in-law. And her own sister is not leaving the couple with Sincere and putting on lingerie for him. You know what I'm saying? So then Trinity said that she was scared about Melanie because we just had movie night, right? So she was worried that Melanie was going to be in the bottom. So then Ariana Madix is like, there is only one more safe couple. Camera's right on Casey. He's like, it's going to be Kenzie. It is going to be Kenzie. They're going to save Kenzie Dion. Kenzie's got a larger fan base. You know what I'm saying? She's got the votes. We're going to be in the bottom, TT. They announced that TT and Casey are safe. What? I was shook. I was shook. Casey and TT were shook. Trinity was completely shook. She did not see that coming. Kata and Zack Attack are pissed. Anaya was happy for Casey and TT because she has moved on. She has let bygones be bygones. Here's my thing, you guys. I just have a question for the KC fans. Are you genuinely voting for KC because you like him and TT together? Or are there some of you that are voting for KC out of spite because you do not like Anaya? Like, I feel like we need to have a real conversation. It's obvious to me that there's a lot more men that are voting this year compared to last year, and there's a lot more men that identify with how Casey treated Anaya on this show and are voting in support of that. I still find what Casey said about Anaya behind her back absolutely disrespectful. And I feel like y'all are rewarding Casey in the same way y'all are rewarding Sincere. And it's like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? What are we doing? Now, here's the thing, too, though. I was not upset about Kata and Zack Attack being in the bottom three because ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Zack Attack got off completely unscathed movie night. Production refused to show the clips, roll the tapes of how conniving Zack Attack has been, how he had a hand, him and Bryce had a hand of sabotaging Casey and Anaya. Even though Casey and Anaya, you know what I'm saying, they had their own roles in the sabotage of their own couple, but there was some heavy-handedness by Bryce and Zack Attack. They knew that Anaya got in her head about Casey, and they used that to their advantage. They knew Casey was saying different stuff to them behind Anaya's back, and they used that to their advantage. And I wish when Casey gets out of the villa, he really understands how much these Islanders were jealous of him and Anaya, and did not want him and Anaya to succeed. I just want to say that for the record. You know what I'm saying? And I was Team Kanaya. I love me, Team Kanaya Dion. Until Casey started talking weird after, you know, the soul of it all got into the villa. And he started to switch up. And I was like, and it was hard. You know what I'm saying? It was hard after that. But they were shook. Casey is ecstatic. So your bottom three couples are Kenzie and Dylan, Corbin and Persian Cat, and also, you know what I'm saying, Zack Attack and Kata. Now, I have a question. All y'all that were on social media that said that y'all were going to vote for Corbin and Persian Cat, you know what I'm saying, because they told the truth about Sincere and Melanie. Only for Sincere and Melanie to be in the top four and not Corbin and Persian Cat. Y'all did the same thing when y'all thought y'all had an army behind the Soul and Caleb vote, and they saw the bottom. What are we doing? What are we doing, right? But ultimately, I keep telling y'all there is a silent vote. There is a silent vote that is not being displayed in the polls, and that silent vote today was for Casey and TT. And so what has happened is Ariana Madix tells the bottom three couples to stand in the shower scene set that they all just did their karaoke performances for. And she tells them, you guys are the bottom three. You know what I'm saying? All this and all of that, right? But then there's a curveball. And Ariana Madix is like, well, listen, look at here. Remember I told y'all, you know what I'm saying, that there's going to be something big if you win the karaoke competition, if you're king and queen. So by you, Kenzie, and you, Dylan, winning king and queen, you are immune. You get immunity from America's vote. I don't. I was really disgusted with that. I was absolutely disgusted with that. I did not think that was fair, and that told me Kenzie and Dylan had the least amount of votes. Because anytime y'all do a bottom three like that, there is a couple in there that had the least amount of votes that production wanted to save. And y'all saved Kenzie and Dylan. I cannot believe it. Production, y'all do this every season. I told y'all from the beginning of the season, Kenzie is their Bergie. You know what I'm saying? Kenzie is their Huda. That they're going to find ways, just like how Zack Attack, you know what I'm saying, did not vote out Kenzie and Dylan. They're going to find a way. She has escaped elimination. This is what, the third time? The first time, you know what I'm saying, when we had to vote on the couples, who our favorite couples were. This last time where the Islanders got to vote on least compatible couples, she escaped elimination. And now a third time. This is the same thing y'all did to Huda. This is the same thing y'all did to Bergie. And I'm over it. I am over it. So now we're just down to a bottom two of Corbin and Persian Cat and Zack Attack and Kada. And immediately when I saw that, I was like, if they're going to turn it over to the Islanders, Corbin and, Persian Cat are out of here. Now, what was interesting was that there was an internet rumor that Dylan and Kenzie were dumped from the villa and that allegedly Dylan and Kenzie were following all these Islanders. And I was of confusion as far as what y'all were talking about, because from my understanding, their accounts are supposed to be locked down as they are in the villa, because they put a social media ban on people running their accounts during the season and engaging with followers due to all the hate and the threats and the negativity that these Islanders receive from some of y'all. So somebody was wrong again with false information, with false advertising, right? So ultimately, Ariana says that not only do y'all got to deliberate in y'all couples on who y'all want to save, I need y'all to stand behind the couple y'all want to save. Why is this show so messy? Why is this show so messy? So ultimately, you know what I'm saying? We go down the list, right? We go down the list of the couples that, you know what I'm saying, who they want to save, right? So they have Anaya and Carl. They go first. They, of course, stand behind Kada and Zack. They have Casey and Tate go next, right? And I'm peeping production, how y'all keep trying to tie Anaya and Casey together. And it reminds me of how y'all kept trying to tie Leah and Rob together season 6. Y'all do not want to let this storyline go. Y'all do not want to let this storyline, you know what I'm saying? Just leave it alone. Y'all keep want to push these two. I'm peeping y'all game. So Casey and Corbin are boys, as you know. So Corbin was not going to go against them. You know, Tate, Persian Cat's her Casa girl. She was not going to go against her. You know what I'm saying? Then also we have, of course, you know what I'm saying, the rest of the Islanders. So all the rest of the Islanders followed Anaya and Carl, and they all stood behind Zack Attack and Kada. So Corbin and, Persian Cat are gone. So they give their hugs. They say their goodbyes. When the men are in the dressing room with Corbin breaks down and starts crying. And they're like, oh my gosh, we broke him. You know, he's no longer a robot. You know, even AI has glitches, da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, I'm not upset about leaving because I'm happy with who I'm leaving with. But I'm happy I don't get to see y'all every day. Corbin, let's keep it a buck. You're mad you're not going to be in the finals. You're mad you're not going to see that 100K. But I have a feeling that you're going to get the Jeremiah treatment that these fans, you know what I'm saying, that had a problem with the way you were talking about women in that villa, that they're going to think that you're cute and still give you brand deals anyways. Because that's how y'all are. There are a lot of male identified fans. There are a lot of people that if you do not like certain female Islanders, y'all are going to prop up the men. So you're gonna prop him up. You know what I'm saying? So then there was a conversation with Corbin and Sincere and KC, and they were all like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all were my boys. We were the closest trio in the villa. All of this, all of that. When we get outside, you know, we have a real brotherhood. We're about to dominate. We're about to do all of this and do all of that. And I was like, oh. I was like, be on the lookout for these three. Be on the lookout for these three. You know what I'm saying? Then there was a conversation with TT and Persia Cat because she's losing another one of her Casa girls. So TT is the last Casa girl standing. She's the last Casa girl standing, y'all. And I remember in the last scene, I didn't talk about this, but TT made the moment about Jaden leaving and Amora leaving about herself. Because she wanted to make it known that she does not have female friends. And they all, you know, even though it should have been about them leaving and how sad she is for them to leave, she made it about herself that she does not have female friends on the outside, that no female friends like her. So this is going to be, you know what I'm saying, very interesting, right? So ultimately they leave. And Trinity, you know what I'm saying, tells Corbin, you know what I'm saying, to say something one last time, you know what I'm saying, and all of this and all of that before they give their final bow, right? So, nonetheless, you guys, we've got a messy preview for tomorrow's episode. Because tomorrow night, Kata is pissed. Kata is pissed. And she said, how did these effing couples becoming the top over us? But the shot that they showed was Melanie and Sincere and Casey and TT. Then there was another clip where Kata was having a conversation with Trinity and said, which would the be? How is it not Casey? How is Casey not in the bottom? So then we have Zack Attack, who thinks that it's him, and you're correct, it's you, that is bringing down the couple of you and Kata. So then Bryce comes in to check on him as they're lying in bed and the scene cuts. Here's the thing, production, this would have been a perfect opportunity for you to bring in some bombshells. You know what I'm saying? Bring in a last set of bombshells, a couple more bombshells, see if they can tempt Melanie and Sincere. But now she's probably not going to be tempted since y'all voted her a top couple. But see if Kata could be tempted. See if anybody else is really secure in their couple at this point, or if anybody potentially to switch. See if Carl gets tempted. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, that is it for this episode, y'all. I need y'all to do y'all biggest one. I need y'all to hype me up. Hype this video. You know what I'm saying? I need y'all to participate in the comments on what y'all thought of this episode. I don't like that we are rewarding black women being disrespected. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You know what I'm saying? We can talk about the fact, yes, Casey apologized. But it sounded like from Caleb, Casey really didn't want to apologize until it seemed like he felt like he had to apologize. And I don't know what the future of the show is going to be if basically there's going to be men that are going to be rewarding other black men treating other black women a certain type of way. I'm not feeling it. I'm not featuring it. So we've got a long road to go. But there are already people who are vowing that they're going to ensure that Casey and TT don't see that final. But who did y'all vote for this go around? Because I voted for Anaya and Carl. And it looks like it's going to be staying that way. So nonetheless, that's it. That's all. It's Todos Es Final. It's Benito. It's the In the Rose, the In the Line for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post the content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.